Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Multifamily Chronicles, and I'm your host, Adrian Danila. Today, we have as a guest, Mike Dean. Mike is the president of A1 Valet Trash. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks, Adrian, for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you already this morning. I'm excited for this episode here.
Mike, why don't you start by introducing yourself to the audience a little bit?
Sure. So for those who don't know me, I'm Mike Dean. I'm, like I said, president of A1 Valet Trash. My background is from Georgia, born and raised, went to KSU. I was a banker for a short period of time after school. Went to a family business, helped scale it, and retired my father early. And then started A1 Valet Trash in 2015. And that was 8 years ago. And it's been, I guess, history ever since.
So one thing about your background that might be not everybody knows, Mike, is that you've been a junior Olympic gold medal winner. How did you get from that to becoming an entrepreneur? And what are some things that maybe you use from being a very competitive athlete to becoming an entrepreneur that you could apply, that you have applied?
Yes, I mean, the journey was, from a career standpoint, kind of that, right? The junior Olympic gold medal was in high school, and that was fun, and really just kind of went down that path that kind of just described as far as going to KSU, then getting out into the real world, and kind of how that translates is, really from the business side for me, it was kind of always going bigger, right? I did some other sports achievements along the way as well that. I'm sure we'll get into, like the Ironman and a couple other things that were kind of fun, ways for me to test myself and say, okay, hey, can I go a little bit bigger? Can I go a little bit farther? And so that's kind of, the mindset of how, sports and business, I guess, have kind of overlapped of just going deeper and going bigger. And then as far as, the journey, I mean, it was just kind of, really put sports on the back burner once I started getting into business. That kind of became my new sport, my new hobby. And I treated it as such, right? It was a game. It was fun. That's kind of how I really saw both. I was like, hey, this is, don't take either too serious, right? Just get in, have fun with it, see if you can go bigger and go deeper and see what comes of it.
Mike, what gives you the drive? What drives you? In order to be an entrepreneur, is not like the 9-to-5 job. The alarm clock rings. 7 o'clock. I gotta brush my teeth. I gotta go to work. Type of deal. I don't imagine that as being an entrepreneur. It has to be a different type of drive. What drives you?
What drives me is getting better. I think it's a shame if you blink and 10 years go by and you think about the world the same way as you did prior. I love change, and I love building myself into a better version of myself. I'm obsessed with that. And business does that in a way that I haven't found anything else to. If I get really into golf, right, I get more efficient at putting the ball in the hole. That's the end goal, right? And you learn a few things along the way in sports that are great lessons, but again, I just hadn't seen as many lessons compile as quickly and as deeply as I have in business, right? I mean, it challenges you in a new way because there's so many people competing in business. There's so many people out there in the marketplace that you have to evolve your thinking. You have to say, okay, hey, here's how I think the world works now, and here's what I think I need to do to accomplish my goals, and here's new information I need to take in and layer in with the experiences and information I've previously had, and here's how I have to evolve that mindset to accomplish this goal. And that's really what drives me, is just consistently getting better. And I really love the kind of one hand forward, one hand backward mindset, which for me is, hey, I go to someone that's done what I've done before and ask kind of how they did it. That's my hand up. And then my hand back is equally, if not more rewarding, which is, hey, here's what I've done to get to where I am. But, being self-aware enough to know, hey, I'm not where I want to be, right? I want to go further. So I can just tell someone, here's how you get to where I am. But it's fun watching somebody to kind of level up their career and help others. So I think constantly getting better, helping others, and learning from others has been some of the driving factors for me.
Mike, what inspired you to start A1 Valet Trash, and why this type of business? It could have been anything else, I'm guessing, right? What made you start this business, and why this type of business, the valet trash business?
Yeah, so maybe going a little deeper on the background will probably help provide some context too. So right out of school, I was a banker at Wells for a short period of time. I was there when their CEO had to step down. They kind of had all those things going on where the opening and closing of accounts and that kind of thing. And I was there for training for a period of time, got out in the real world as a personal banker, realized what was going on, and thought as a young kid out of school, hey, there's got to be more to life than than doing whatever it takes to get the sale, right? So I left very shortly after when I figured out what was going on. And was kind of looking for a job. My dad had just started a restoration business, and it was a really small company. He kind of needed some help, and I said, "Hey, let me sell some jobs for you until I get on my feet here." And blinked 2 years went by, scaled the business up. He retired, and I had no equity in the business. We weren't a family that I was getting the red carpet rolled out for me by any means. And so, I was 23 and saying, okay, hey, now what? Right. I'd realized the banker gig, not only was it for me for those reasons, but, I wasn't sitting in the fluorescent lights, suit and tie type person that really, didn't speak to me well. And so I looked around me and I saw a lot of entrepreneurs, and I thought, hey, they're doing something that I would love to do. And so I started looking into some of the trades because that's what I knew from the construction and restoration business, and looked into the trash business, lived in a community that had the service, and it wasn't going well where I was living, and started talking to my property manager. And she was like, hey, look, here's the situation, and kind of gave me some more details about the service and how it worked with their corporate team, and did some more research into it, saw a fragmented market and opportunity, and really just jumped in, with 2 feet and never looked back.
You mentioned scaling before, Mike, right? Scaling your dad's business, and I'm sure this applies to your own business today. Tell me about what does it take to scale a business, to bring you from like the initial setup, very small one, to a mid-size or maybe large business, and what type of a mindset, what qualities does someone need in order to be able to scale, to build things at scale?
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this too, and others, right? Because we're in the middle of scaling A1 right now. But what helped us scale the construction business was team members. There was only so many things and so many tasks or at that time my dad could do in a day. My dad was already on that 1 foot out the door of retirement at that stage, and so his capacity to do tasks was very small at that stage. He didn't have that desire or want. So a lot fell to me, and at 22, I thought, well, if I just work the 100-hour weeks, I can get everything done. And then that mindset quickly capped, realizing, hey, there's limitations. So really finding other team members that can help, that align with core values, is essential, and that can see the vision and see the goal and work towards it. That was instrumental in that business and scaling it. And the same is going true right now for A1. We're scaling, and again, it comes down to team members. Again, the same mindset. There's only so much you can do in a day. But yeah, I'm only so far in the journey, so I'm still looking to others to learn, what their thoughts are on scaling and how they've done it. Right, I've only gone so far in my career, so but yeah, that's part of the fun.
So you mentioned delegating, right? Obviously, I never own a business. I never started a business. It's something that it's definitely in my future, I believe, right? I'm working. It's part of my dream. At some point, I think that's gonna become a reality. I'm working towards that. But as far as my career progression, as I moved to different stages of my career, and I started overseeing larger portfolios, right? Because I went from a property that's 300 apartments to maybe a portfolio of 10 or 15 or 30 properties, and up to like 100+ properties. And when you progress that way, the job changes dramatically, right? So the only way you could really scale up is to learn how to delegate and learn how to hire the right people to help you run the larger portfolio. The solution is really not to work yourself to death. So I completely I'm in agreement with you when it comes to, how we grow this thing bigger, right? It's just hiring people, delegating, and hiring the right people. So we're on the same page here. Now, as an entrepreneur, I imagine, again, this is not a 9 to 5, type of job. You have your family, you have your business, you have your hobbies, your passions. How do you strike a balance between, taking care of your family, running the business, and pursuing your passions, your hobbies outside of work?
Yeah, I really kind of subscribe to, I want to say it was Kobe Bryant, but it might have been somebody else. Maybe I think it might have been a high school teacher of Kobe Bryant, but that it said rest at the end, not in the middle. So I really subscribe to that. I work hard and I play hard. I just try to go all in, high energy in all tasks, so I don't let one slip. But I try to be very purposeful, I guess, in the balance of those. Yeah, I think to be great in any category, you're typically unbalanced. It's hard to be, as far as from a hobby perspective, right? An amazing golfer and an amazing businessman. It's hard. You kind of pick one and go all in on it. So, I definitely work a lot and enjoy that. But there's some of my rocks that are non-negotiables for me, and that's my family. I have a 1-year-old daughter. I'm very cognizant of being present while she's growing up and not falling victim to staying career focused and then waking up one day and she's 20 and I barely see her anymore out the door, kind of thing. And so I really just have my non-negotiables, which is my family, and then I have the business that I focus on, and that's my really number one hobby. And then if I can get other things in, I play a lot of sand volleyball, I play some golf, I mountain bike. If I can get those types of things in, great, but I really don't put them on the same playing field as family. So I really try to pay that. It's kind of the number one.
One thing that comes to my mind, Mike, is about thinking big, right? Let's say how many communities is your company serving today?
We service about 30,000 units. So our average community.
About 30,000 units. So let me ask you this: how many units are you planning on serving a year from now?
Yeah, great question. So we should be over 50,000. We should be about 56,000 if we hit our goals and kind of how we've measured them out in increments.
Okay, so that's about a 70% increase a year. What helps you think big, and how big can we think? And how does that play into growing the business? Can we just say, hey, I like to grow the business, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times in a year or in a 10-year period? What is determined? What are some factors that determine this growth? Tell me about your thought process. I like to know how an entrepreneur thinks, right? How are they looking at things, and how are they saying, hey, this is where we are today, and I set up a goal. It's 70% for you, right? 12 months, 70% growth. Why is it 70%? Why is it not 20% or 300%? And how do you walk me through your thought process?
Yes, I think kind of the first part of the question there is kind of what helps to go bigger is being around people that go bigger. You kind of get in your own echo chamber as far as whether it's any goal, business, your leisurely sports, anything, is being around people that are doing it on a bigger scale. That's first and foremost for me, at least. I always find myself getting excited and wanting to go bigger and thinking bigger when I'm around others that are just doing things that I didn't think were possible, or at least at the volume that I didn't think was possible. And then as far as goal setting, I really look at it as reverse. I pick a goal, right, and then I reverse engineer and see what efforts it would take to hit that goal, and make sure that it's doable, right? I mean, there's kind of pie in the sky goals, which is like, hey, I want to be, for my business, right, I want to be at 1 million units, right? And it's like, okay, well, reverse engineer that. How do you get there? And there's some things that I subscribe to as just kind of general guiding principles in my life, which is, quality. There's some things that we could do to help scale this business and grow it extremely quickly. But I'm not confident that we would maintain our standards doing it that way. And I've seen it go poorly in other business models and other businesses out in the market. And so for us, it was, hey, pick a goal that will push us to go a little bit bigger, but make sure that we have the infrastructure in place to be able to hit it more than comfortably, right? I'm 31 years old, so God willing, I have a few more working years ahead of me, and reputation is extremely important to me. For the first 7 years of the business, we had no sales team. I really wanted to get down the business model, right? I really wanted to make sure that things ran smoothly as possible. And so that's how I think big without letting it, I guess, overshadow what it is I'm here to do, and at risk of, I guess, blowing things up, right? So that's kind of where I am today. But I bet if we did a podcast in 5 years from now, I bet you I would tell you some different topics and how my mindset's evolved from there. But curious, I guess, on your side, how do you go about goal setting and reverse engineering, your steps to get there?
I think for a lot of people, this would come as a disappointment, but I just kind of get up with an idea, and I just go pursue that idea and see what it takes me. It's not. I don't do a lot of deep planning. I'm not a list type of guy. Most of the guests that I had, very successful people on my podcast, they indicated that they use checklists. I hate using checklists. I wing it a lot, and I just I'm very I'm very aggressive in pursuing my goals. I go after my goals, my targets as hard as I can. I go hard. I get up most of the days 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. My days don't end until late at night, and those extra hours that you put in, they matter. Like people don't realize, if you add a couple of it's being said that 10,000 hours is kind of the golden standard of achieving mastery in any type of skill. Well, if you work 8 hours a day, that takes a certain number of years to get there, right? If you get 2 more hours a day of work, that cuts down the time by at least a year, so you get there a year earlier. So it's for me, it's simple math. The way I look at it, the more time that I could spend on achieving something, the easier it gets, the quicker I get there. So that's kind of what it is. You just getting up early, putting in the work, do the stuff that others are not willing to do, not really going with the mainstream ideas. I started a real estate investment a few years back, and I've been pursuing it very hard. And I am, currently looking for more opportunities to invest in real estate. Even though if you are watching TV or looking at the pundits, wherever, whoever they are, they're gonna tell you that this is a very volatile environment and it's dangerous. Well, guess what? There are people out there doing deals while others are just scared to even get started. And I think this is what kills most dreams, is that people are wishing to do something in their life, whatever that is, but they never get to even start, right? Because it's never, if you're looking for the perfect storm, the perfect moment, you're never gonna find that. You just have to. Life is not about the perfect situation, is what you make it, right? What you make out of every situation. And I'm looking at every situation, how can I flip it so it works to my advantage, right? I'm looking at something, how can I make the best of it? People, it's also about mindset too. How are we looking at challenges? Some people are looking at challenges and they're seeing reasons not to do anything. They're just using those as excuses. Hey, it's too hot outside. Today in Dallas, it's 177 degrees. I could have said, I don't want to be out. I'll find a reason, to just stay inside and waste the entire day. I don't want to do that. I'm here. I'm gonna be out there, beat the streets, visit as many properties as I can. And at the end of the day, everything's gonna work out, right? So it's just about how, what you make it is not really what's out there. It's very easy to say, this is so hard. Okay. You either make an excuse or you find an opportunity to overcome the challenge. and making the best of it. That's what it's all about for me, and it has been.
Yeah, I agree. Now I can appreciate the style of setting a goal and winging it, and applying more time to it. I'm envious. I'm definitely more of a methodical person. I may get off track for I think for myself, but I think part of this, right, is knowing yourself. There's no really perfect way to go about accomplishing a goal or setting a goal. Part of it is being self-aware enough to know how you are, so you can set that goal in a manner that will allow you to obtain it. And for me, I know how I am, right? I'm high energy, and so if the shiny object comes across, I will chase it unless I'm very methodical about saying, okay, hey, here's what I got to do. Here's how I get it, right? And going all the way down to day-to-day actions for a multi-year goal. So yeah, that's interesting. I love it.
Mike, I want to go back to your early stages as an entrepreneur, and tell us a little bit about the challenges that you faced when you first started the business, right? The valet trash business. What were some challenges to get the business off the ground and actually grow the business? What are some challenges that you have encountered, you were up against, and how you overcame them? What helped you?
I'm a big subscriber to kind of like extreme ownership, from Jocko Willink's book, but I was in my own way a lot. That was my biggest challenges, was myself. At 23, I remember thinking, oh, I was in the stage of, overexcitement, right? This is going to be, a business model that, I can crush. It's going to do really well, really fast. I know how to do this. I know it all, right? Is what I thought at 23, probably. And, then it took me taking a couple hits to the mouth, so to speak, to realize that the ideas I had and the way I thought the world had worked at 23 wasn't the way that it really worked. You can't just go to somebody and say, hey, here's my service. Here's why I think it's going to be, better. Let's do some business, right? I was 23 and I looked 18, so I also had that going for me. And so it was, that was a challenge, right? To learn how to, to do kind of everything, really. I mean, get the business going. I mean, at the beginning stages, I was helping out with, the operations. Obviously, I sold some of the accounts to begin with, right? I helped before we had an accounting team, get an accountant in and, do the books. You kind of had to learn everything, right? And I guess I was overly optimistic at first. So really my biggest challenge was calibrating my expectations versus reality. Being 23, my life exposure was pretty limited in general. And so that was probably my biggest challenge. And that evolved with taking in new information and having new experiences, right? Having those conversations with people, doing the research. I'm a big reader and podcast listener. And as more information came, I evolved, and I'm still evolving. But that I would say is probably my number one challenge I faced, was just getting out of my own way when I first started.
Mike, how important is networking to you? And how does that affect your business?
Yeah, I think it's everything. To a funny story, when I first got started is I was telling people, hey, I want to start this valet trash business. And they said, oh, you got to join the Atlanta Apartment Association, right? I'm outside of Atlanta. And I thought, I don't know what that is, but I'll go. And so I go to a dinner meeting in 2015, and I'm talking to people, I'm networking, I have the hand-drawn name badge, because they're handing out the little stickers, and talking to people. I go to the restroom, I come back, I see a big sea of people again that I don't know any of them. I didn't come into the business with any connections. People always ask me, hey, where was my dad, right? Because I looked so young. You're talking to another sea of people, and after my fourth or fifth conversation, I meet 4 or 5 investment bankers in a row, and they're like, hey, I got to ask, why is a valet trash company at an investment banker seminar? And I'm like, oh, I thought it was the Atlanta Apartment Association. Like, oh man, they went to the dinner meeting across the Galleria, as going there, like 30 minutes ago. Right, when I went to the restroom, that party had shifted to the dinner side. And so I was like, I came home, and my wife Clay was like, how'd it go, your first dinner meeting? And I was like, it was terrible. I met a bunch of investment bankers. But to answer your question on the networking side, right, that's just a funny networking story is, I think it's everything. That's where we find, new employees that join the business. That's where we find new customers. That's where we find new vendors. I mean, that's everything. I think that's still in today's world, even in a digital economy, that's immensely important. Nothing beats face-to-face networking, knowing people through other people, getting to hear other people's experiences, have conversations like this, right? Even if you and I just connected over LinkedIn and liked each other's statuses and posts and things, we wouldn't have this connection as we did knowing each other in person, getting to talk in an environment like this, getting to go deeper. So I think it's everything. I think if you can figure out how to increase the volume of it and do it at scale and do it across multiple people in an organization, I think that's going to be a key factor in any organization's success.
I want to go back a little bit and ask you, why did you choose multifamily, right? It could have been anything else, but why did you choose this space to play in?
Yeah, I know that a lot of people in our space say, hey, I never intended to be in multifamily. I just fell into it, right? I guess I was a little different. I was more intentional. I did live in an apartment community that had the valet trash service, like I said, and so I was exposed to it from there. But I looked at the business model and I thought overall, both sides of the aisle, meaning owner manager side and supplier partner side, looked appealing. I had friends in real estate and in commercial real estate specifically. And, the multifamily was a reference to me as the crown jewel of commercial real estate for many reasons. So I thought, hey, getting to know that business as well would be exciting and fun. And then the supplier side, I thought, hey, look, this is high density, right? There's a lot of units in major primary markets all over the country, and people have to have somewhere to live. And this is 2015, so the 08 recession was kind of on my mind, right? That wasn't too far prior to, and so I thought, hey, I think this is a good business model to sustain and stand the test of time. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to move here around, and there's a lot of opportunity to learn and about something I think is fascinating. That I just like the nuts and bolts of the actual business model itself on both sides.
One of the things that I'm asking most of my guests is if they see any value in businesses, any type of businesses, right? Whether they're on a management side or on a supplier side, supplier partner side like yours, they see any value in those businesses associating themselves with industry influencers to help them enhance their brand and just get bigger, right? Is there any value in those type of associations that you see?
Yeah, I mean, I would say always, right? I mean, branding, you're trying to get it out there, right? So if you can partner with an influencer to help get that brand out there, I would say definitely. I mean, it'd be hard to argue against that, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that any increased exposure will help. As long as the brand is rock solid and has good core values and a good mission behind it, then I think amplifying it would always be the play.
Well, Mike, what helps you sell your services? What are some things that I think maybe I will ask your company does that are kind of unique, or maybe not necessarily unique, but what are some things that you do for sales strategy to sell your services?
Some things that help us sell really are the people, obviously the salespeople, but the people of the organization. Meaning, the reason we're able to grow a business for 7 years with no sales team is because of our reputation and because of our people. I like to think that we have an amazing team. When I go back and look at kind of some of the things that our team has done and been able to accomplish in a short period of time. The person that leads our operations team is a West Point guy. So very rigid in his format, which kind of aligns with me. I'm, like I said, a very methodical person, purposeful in kind of the actions that I do. And, he's been able to help build this operations team, recruit other people in leadership positions that are able to do the same. So I think that really helps us sell. Hey, here's our system. Here's how it works. Here's our, if this, then that style plan. And then I think that it kind of transcends to the other departments as well, right? Accounting, administrative, HR. I mean, all those different departments, sales, marketing. Again, it kind of comes down to just a rock solid group of people. I think that really helps us sell and kind of go about our process to sell. And then, more specifically in the actual sales process is listening to the marketplace. That's why we started the business was, hey, there was a gap, there was a void. And we filled that, and so I think just listening to the customers, listening to the prospective customers, what's going on in the space, what's important to them. I think never making decisions based off of sole self-interest. So meaning like, hey, if it's easier for us, it doesn't mean necessarily it's best. So rather, hey, what's important to the customer? If they say, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z with service, even if that's not necessarily part of our core focus, if it's makes sense, we can bolt it on and help that customer, right? Maybe they have a unique property that has, we have some properties that have these little, trash rooms next to apartments that are not really, for the trash chute or anything. It's just like a little kind of big storage closet, right? And they're, hey, can you guys get in there and clean those out, right? And it's easy for our sales team to say, no, that's not what we do. We do valet trash. We go door to door, right? But rather, again, take in that customer feedback, pass it over to operations, say, hey, what would it require for us to do this? Then us patching it back to the customer, putting it in play, and then they come back to us and say, hey, you're the only company that will do this. We'll bid this, right? We have this weird situation. So I think just listening to the customer really helps us, go about our sales process.
Mike, what advice would you give on aspiring entrepreneurs that are looking to start their own business?
I think the most important thing is anchoring your why. I mean, you got to be crystal clear on why you're there. They made a LinkedIn post about this actually not too long ago about when people, I get a lot of people that come to me just because I've started the business and been here for 8 years, that people say, hey, I'm thinking about starting this business, right? What do you think? And I would say a majority of the time, most people lead with the reason why I want to start this business is to make money. And it makes me cringe because I'm like, okay, there's going to be a period of time where you're likely not going to make more money, right? And then what do you want to do with that more money? And trying to ask, some more questions to see what it is they truly want, right? And so I would say to anybody at this stage now would be anchor your why, be very clear. If you want more money, why do you want more money? Is it important to you because you like significance? Is it important to you because you want security? Do you want personal luxuries? Do you have fun building the business? Is it a game to you? Really getting 100% clear on their why, making sure that they start a business, not just because they think it's going to make them money, because that's really a byproduct, but because there's a need in the marketplace that they can solve. And then I think the money is a byproduct of solving that need. But if you go in with the money filter first, I've never seen anybody that started a business with that. So I would really drill into that and try to dispel that common myth up front. That would be kind of the main thing. I'd probably have another slew of 30 minutes of advice, but that would be kind of the main point I would drill into.
Would you share a valuable lesson or mistake that turned into a learning experience for you?
Yeah, I would say my mistake up front was balancing time. I was very much so, like I said, trying to work through problems, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna shoulder all the problems and solve them myself. Being high energy, I had to be aware that my natural channel was to, I'll do it. We call it the I'm a mentality. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And so that was a big mistake early on that could have allowed us to scale faster, as I really wanted to do a lot of things myself. And so going back, I would change that earlier on. I would say that's probably the number one.
Mike, how do you approach risk-taking in your business decisions, and how do you manage potential setbacks?
Yeah, so risk-taking is interesting because I think a lot of entrepreneurs by nature have to have a higher risk tolerance than the average, just because that's the nature of the beast. But recently I've been more challenged on risk-taking. I've seen some other personal friends of mine in industry contacts, take higher risks and go bigger, and it's been exciting to watch. But I approach risk-taking as kind of educated risks, and setting that filter, right? That's the art. But taking risks is kind of everything, right? I mean, I kind of look at it a perspective of like, why not? Why not take a bigger risk? So if you swing and you miss, what happens? What's the implication of failing? And is it recoverable? I would say in most instances they are, right? It kind of depends on what you're doing, but it kind of comes down to like, how bad do you want this goal? Well, what does this goal let you do, right? How much risk are you willing to take to accomplish this goal? So I really think there's several factors that come into play, but I would say in general, I try to be a little bit riskier than the average, and I try to push myself to take more risk than is naturally comfortable to me.
Switching gears a little bit, personal branding. What's personal branding to you, Mike?
Yeah, personal branding. I mean, there's the component, right, of like me branding the Mike Dean name, right? Like who am I? There's only so many people I can meet at, different industry events or in my local area. I'm never going to be as involved with the apartment associations in Texas or, other states, because I live here in Georgia. So I think personal branding is representing who Mike Dean is, who I am with authenticity at scale, right? I mean, I think doing things like this, being out vocal, using social platforms, being involved, and just basically letting people know who Mike Dean is outside of my, echo chamber of people in Georgia.
Mike, you're actively involved in supporting the American Brain Tumor Association. Can you tell us a little bit more about your philanthropic efforts and why is this cause close to your heart?
Yeah, we try to do a lot through different organizations, but that particular one is close to my heart. I lost my mom to brain cancer a few years back. So we picked that one just for, a natural reason that it's close to my heart. Yeah, we try to do, I guess, lots of different things through, industry events that, benefit different organizations like the Community Food Bank, the Adopt a Mile, the American Brain Tumor Association, and just, I guess, a few different organizations over the years. We used to be involved with Save the Children before mom had her diagnosis a few years back. So I think it's important. I think it's important along the way, right? There's kind of the mindset of, hey, wait till the end to give back, because you can give back at a bigger scale or give along the way. And I've definitely subscribed to the give along the way. I think that there's things people in need now, that there's needs that need to be addressed now. And I think it makes it feel better along the way. It's like, hey, I'm not just benefiting myself and all those that are around me, which is provides me a lot of energy, but I'm also benefiting people that I don't even know. I'm benefiting, causes that I care about. So I think that's important to kind of help you keep going, that you see, okay, hey, here's the benefit, the positive impact that I'm doing, and it transcends past what I can just see in my own world.
The next section of our conversation, Mike, is the rapid fire question section. Ready?
Okay. I'm ready. Do I need a sip of water for this? I feel like they're going to be like, boom, boom, boom. I'll give you short answers.
Sure. They don't have to be short. Take as long as you want. Favorite books, professional fiction, not nonfiction.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. I know it's a very classic book, but lessons in there that I think will stand the test of time. I mentioned Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. Dan Kennedy has a good book. The title is No BS Time Management, I think, for entrepreneurs. That's a good one about time management. The One Thing, I mean, there's so many good books, but those are some of the top couple.
Mike, how did a failure or apparent failure set you up for future success?
I would say that, I've had many, I guess, failures and setbacks that I've learned from. I would say bringing on people that may not have been a great fit for the company. Great people may not just been a great fit for the company. And when you do that as a business, right, you invest into that person. And so if it winds up not being a good fit, you lose your investment, of course. And I think that lesson has kind of helped drive home the importance of finding someone that's not only, I guess, transactionally good at the job, but a good fit for the overall company dynamic. And you can see the vision and work towards accomplishing that by following a roadmap. So yeah, I would say that's been I've had that failure a few times in the past that I've learned from, and it's really helped me try to build some different practices to help look for the right people to help grow this organization.
Like, what advice would you give a young person getting ready to enter the real world?
Try everything. I mean, at least if I remember, I can relate to myself, being 22 or 21 coming out of school, is I had no idea what I wanted to do, which was hard for me being a purposeful person, right? I was like, okay, here's my plan. I want to do this, this, and this. But, I really didn't have any idea. And so I would say, try everything, I mean, don't be super gung-ho about following a path you think you should follow. If you already know your plan, if you want to go to, become a doctor or a lawyer, good for you. That wasn't me. That wasn't most young people that I know, at least in my world. So I would say try a little bit of everything. See if you want to go into the business world, see if career is important to you, kind of figure out what's important to you, what you want your life to look like in the future. Again, why you want it to look like that, and start trying things that are in that direction. So if you want some success in your life from a financial perspective, try different things that'll let you accomplish that, whether different industries. Just try as many things as you can while you are typically in a situation that you don't have as much to lose. So yeah.
In the last 3 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I would say I've changed I think I talked about this earlier, but changed the risk tolerance. I've really dialed that up a bit, which has been nice. I've erred on the side of being overly conservative, I think, in the past. I'm still very conservative by nature. But in the past 3 years specifically, turning that risk tolerance up a bit has been helpful. I've seen some good fruitful events transpire from that. I would say that, and then I would say really switching to the both and mindset from the either or. I picked that up from a mentor of mine. We kind of expounded upon that further, but they're used to more so subscribe to the mindset of, hey, I can either kind of have this or that. Maybe it's down to career. Hey, I can either grow the business, right, or spend time with family. And you're really challenging that in the past 3 years before we had our daughter, was, how do you do both, right? And I think, again, that comes down to, growing the right team, right? Leadership, not trying to work the 100-hour weeks to, accomplish goals and accomplish goals with the help of others. And then being very purposeful on saying, hey, here are scheduled date nights, right? Here's scheduled family nights. I get to spend time with my daughter. Here's scheduled times in general. So yeah, that as well.
When you lose focus or you feel overwhelmed, how do you get back on track, Mike?
Back to the basics. I definitely get back to the basics. This goes for any category of my life. If I'm feeling like, hey, I'm getting out of shape, I don't know, I'm not happy with my physical fitness, or hey, maybe I'm not happy, we're not hitting the goals we want to hit. I kind of get back to the basics, right? For me, it's, hey, maybe you're not as in shape as you want to be because, you're not eating the diet that you want to eat, right? You're not going to the gym and doing your physical exercise that you should. So I get back to that, and I really try to get back into a good groove. Maybe it's every morning at 6 a.m. I'm doing this, right? I'm going out and going to the gym, coming back, I'm feeling good, I'm taking a shower, I'm reading my book, I'm getting ready for the office. Same thing with business goals. If it's, hey, we're not hitting our goals, it's okay. Hey, is our sales team going through and hitting the numbers they need to hit? Our operations team, are we growing laterally amongst current customer base the way we need to? So just kind of go back to the basics, the process.
Mike, as this conversation comes to an end, I want to give you the opportunity to say something you didn't have the chance to say, or maybe answer a question you wish I would have asked and I didn't. What do you have to share with us?
Yeah, I would say, just in general, go bigger than you think you can go. go bigger than you think you can go. And you don't build confidence. I think this is an Alex Hormozy thing, by shouting affirmations in the mirror about how great you are, or something like that. You build your confidence by stacking undeniable proof. You say who you say you are. And part of that is setting goals, hitting them, and then making the goals bigger and hitting them. That's exactly why I did the Ironman event, which was, I ran a few miles one day, thought, wow, it was 5 miles. I hadn't ran 5 miles since high school. That was a lot for me, and I was tired. And I thought, it'd be crazy to run a marathon. I don't know how somebody runs 26 miles. Then trained and ran a marathon. And then when I got done with the marathon, I thought, what's even more insane is, how does someone swim 2.4, bike 112, and then run a marathon all back to back? I'm like, that's insane. I haven't really ridden a road bike since I was a kid, and then started that journey, right? And that took 2 years and did that. And I think it's just amazing to look back and see what you can accomplish when you start thinking bigger. And you just go for it. It's the same thing with business. I had business goals and blew them out of the water, and grew bigger and grew bigger, and now continuing to keep striving for more. It's fun. It's exciting. And I think it allows me to accomplish my goal, which was, I always emulated and thought was cool, that I knew some entrepreneurs that had big businesses, and I thought everyone around them's life is much better because they did what they did. The person that married as a family friend of my wife's, prime example. I look around him, he's a very successful man, and everybody around him's life is better. He helps out with people that he knows, people that he maybe barely knows, helps give back to the local community. I just think it's such a powerful thing to be around someone that embodies that, and that's what I try to be. So I'd say go bigger and go for it. Increase the risk tolerance, anchor your why, and be clear why you're doing it.
Like, for those in the audience that want to connect with you, what are some ways to get a hold of you?
Yeah,
You want to share some contact information here?
Sure. So yeah, they can look me up on LinkedIn, Mike Dean at A1 Valley Trash. They can email me if they have business needs they want to talk about it, Mike at A1ValleyTrash.com. And you can probably find me on Facebook too, just Mike Dean, in Jefferson, Georgia. You have to look that up. But yeah, I appreciate the invite, Adrian. This has been fun, and been fun to share my perspective on things, and fun to hear yours as well.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. I want to watch, I want to watch your company. I want to watch your company growing, and hopefully, you mentioned earlier, right? Let's meet 5 years from now, and see where you're at 5 years from now, and just kind of looking back, just talk about your last 5-year journey.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Everybody, thank you very much for watching us today. This is Multifamily Chronicles. I'm your host, Adrian Danila, and I hope to see you back here soon. Have a great day.